We're back. That's right. We're back to working on the 1968 in bright white. Got a little work to do on the Spanish gold. Getting some hood work done right in there. Let me get you caught up. For those of you here last week, you're going to see the shops moved around a little bit. Let's take you over there and running back through that, and then we're going to get going on that rocker. So the 1971 C-10 in Spanish gold. It's back in the shop. Well, it's the end of the season anyway. But we got just a couple short, minor issues with it. I drove it this summer, really enjoyed it. It's fun truck. It's a little loud for me, and it's supposed to be the wife's truck, and she won't say anything, but it's a little loud for her too. So I think I'm going to take out them exhaust cutouts. They never did work. Sean's not got to my remote yet, which is fine. I could hardwire it. I think I'm taking them out anyway. They leak. You don't hear that they leak. It's just louder that they leak. So I'm going to take those out. We still got a pretty good sounding exhaust on it. I'm going to be happier with it, with the exhaust solid. So I'm going to take them out this winter. I don't look forward to that. It's not any fun undoing what you already did nice. Plus, I'll be working upside down in my head. Plus, you just seen that the lift has got a cab on it. The other issues I'm having is if you park it for more than 3 days, the transmission leaks. That didn't make sense to me at first, but I want to mention it to you guys. I've had this issue in the past, many years ago. The dipstick tube just has an O-ring on it, and as long as the torque converter is full of oil, which it is when you drive it, well, after a couple 3 days, that fluid all settles out of the torque converter. Now, if it had a perfect seal in the torque converter, I don't think it would, but I don't know a lot about transmissions. So at about 3 days, all the torque converter oil is leaked down. It's about 2 quarts. And what that does is overfills the pan, which if you have a good seal on your dipstick, will overfill it up into the dipstick hole and all that, tube, excuse me. As soon as you start it, it'll bring that level back down. Not an issue if you drive it every day, every other day, but I mean, it's a daily driver in the summer. But it's just a little bit irritating. All I got to do is take one bolt out of that transmission housing, take that dipstick tube out, put an O-ring in it. I might even use some fancy sealer. I won't bore you with that, but if I need to use it, I'll tell you. I don't suggest it because it makes it really hard next time when you want to take it out. Should not happen for a long time. And then the final issue we've talked about, and we're not going to talk about it anymore, we just touched on it, is the Holley EFI system has got a bad injector or a computer or something where it's just dumping fuel crazy in one of the barrels. And it has flooded that motor out terrible. Matter of fact, I got to change the oil before I start it again. It's maybe a quart heavy. I haven't pulled a dipstick to see. Maybe it's only a half quart. But any amount of fuel in your oil you don't want. So I'm not going to run it until I change that oil. So there's what's going on with the Spanish gold. I might cover it, I might not. We'll see how things go. The hood I've been working on. You guys don't want to watch that. It's boring. It's all boring. Sanding, more sanding. But hey, looky here. Pretty darn close. I mean, I got sandpaper stuff all over it, but you can see I'm honing in. Now this is a difficult part because you got to sand on an angle, and the angle's different here than in the back. It's kind of flat in the front. It tips more square in the back. So you got to kind of, it's an art, and I'm not a great artist, but not bad. It's coming along nicely. I just got a little more finessing to do. Found a couple low spots here, a little wavy. I don't need to be that picky. I'm sure this isn't the permanent, temporary kind of for a minute, maybe for years hood. So I'm going to do a really good job. Enough with that. I just wanted to update you on that. So I went and done it now. Where do I take you? I I took that door off. Tom said, I'm just teasing. I think we're going to be better off having a door off of this thing anyway. I really do. I'm going to get you closer. What am I thinking? This is where everything's happening right now. Pretty much right in here. But I want to cover taking the door off. And I didn't bring you guys along for this because it's just a lot of back and forth. And we can just go back and forth once real quick and not use up a whole half hour just getting that out of the way. So here's what we did. While the door was on, I weaseled this rocker up in there. I don't know how. It looks like I dented that. No, maybe not. And I dented this 90 I was unhappy about. I know you can't see real good, but I'll get you in closer if we need to see it. But whoever used this before, I think it was on a car for a minute because I'm seeing these scrape marks where somebody had it over the old rocker, and that's going to cause the thickness to rub on the bottom of the door. There's not a ton of clearance on these things. So I took this over on the anvil, and I took a dull chisel, and I hammered this back and formed that. So there's so many angles. It starts in this angle, and then it goes to this angle, then it goes to this angle, then it goes to that angle, then it goes to this angle. And I was able to get all those to fit really nice. So once I got them together, I used some vice grips and pinched them in there. I put in some Tech screws, whatever you want. Don't matter what you got. Drywall screws, doesn't matter. Front and back, I had this rear B-pillar pulled up tight. I got this gap hammered out pretty good. I'm quite happy with it. Flex that back, and I'm happy flexing that back. You want as much room in this area as you can get because those doors are really tight. The Spanish Gold, the reason I had the most trouble with my Spanish Gold truck is somebody had already put lower rockers on it and had them all in and nice, except they're too high. So I had to adjust the door as high up as it would allow me at the top of the door to where it was just barely not touching in order to get clearance on this bottom. And it's like if I painted it 3 or 4 coats, I might even rub the paint. It's that close. I don't want to have that issue on this one. It's too much work and it doesn't fit right and it's a pain in the butt. So we got this all in. I put my Tech screws in before I took the door off so I know where my alignment needs to be. If it moves now, that's fine. I can pull it back before we put the doors on, before we weld all this stuff up, put my screws in and make sure everything's where it belongs. Then I took this off. Now it's back out of the way. No, I didn't finish it yet. It's going to get refinished, I don't know, this week maybe. But I didn't want to do too much to it because I thought if you prime it and then you got to cut and splice it, then you burn through your primer and all that. So once I got the rocker out of the way, I can get this door off. This is an old body shop trick, and it doesn't work perfect, but it'll get you close. Take you a 16th drill bit or whatever size you pick, it doesn't really matter, and drill a hole right through the hinge and right into the pillar. Just a tiny little hole, top and bottom. So when you put this door back on and you get the bolts all in loose, you can jimmy this door around until you can put that same drill bit back in those holes. That'll get your alignment really close, which in the case of this truck, it was only really close anyway. But you got to remember when you're working on your door and you think, well, I want to get those hinges off. Don't take the hinges off the door, whatever you do, and you've lost all your alignment. So I'm going to leave the hinges on the door permanently. We'll paint around them. I'm not worried about it. So now I got the door out of the way, and then you can start to see all the fun. There's a lot of it, too. I found some spots I could never get to on this truck, and it would have been okay. I would have sprayed some paint in the door jamb, but this way we can get the door jambs painted up real nice. We can hit this GM where they butted the 2 metals together. Yeah, I'm going to keep saying that because GM did that a lot, even though people say you can't do that. Where they butted the 2 pieces of metal together, it's getting a little rusty, so I've got it in a shop where it's dry, and this summer with the wood stove going, it's going to be bone dry in here. And we can get that cleaned up some more, rust converted, get some seam seal in. So now we're at this point. I got it on the lift. By the way, I videotaped that in case it fell because it was sketchy. I don't mind telling you. But I didn't drop it, so the only thing you would enjoy watching on that particular video would just be, you thinking it's going to fall, but it didn't happen. So I didn't bother posting that. While we've got it up on the lift and I can get this stuff right up in my face which is nice. I can see it. And then when I get to cutting on it, I'll show you where I cut already. I can smell that mouse that was in here, or the mice's niece, all of them guys. It's not horrible, but when you get that warmed up, you get just a little hint, just almost like perfume. No, not like perfume. Now, but while we got it up high, I can also cut this other box out we talked about, the air box. Get this rust out, get whatever mouse house, squirrel nest out of there. We need to and re-weld that. So getting on to the rockers, because that's what this is all about, finishing up this rocker. We know we got the outer fitted, so let's not worry about it. It's time to get this inner out and get the new inner in. We'll see how far we get. What I did is I took the there was 4 bolts in the front before. We had removed 2 in the front and 2 in the back. Well, now that I got the door all set, these pillars aren't going to move. There's no weight on them. I got the alignment. I can take those out. I did that off camera too, and they didn't need to be heated. These didn't. But those bolts go through the cab mount, the inner rocker, and this B pillar. Yes, all 3 of those. 1, 2, yeah, get mashed together. Just keep it in mind as you're working on stuff. The focus is to get this inner rocker part out. Well, before I start on that, this is a good opportunity to show you guys this part. I believe you can see it. If not, I got a light. I'm not going to shine it in your eyes this time. But you can see the light through here. Not at your angle. I'll move you. So where that air box comes around and meets with the floor of the truck. So this is the floor of the truck, and this is the air box. It's got a 90, a little lip down there. And that has been spot welded 1, 2, 3, 4 times, maybe 5. Instead of 15 like normal, it only had the 4 or 5. And that has broke loose. You can probably see that. Move the light away, you can't see it, but the light inside the cab, you can see how much of a gap we have there. So before I go tearing out this floor, I would at least like to get this, again, try to get your stuff solid, holding it together. You don't want things moving around too much. So in order to do that, I mean, am I really going to, I don't know, wire wheel this, and I could get out a spot welder. I could drill holes from the bottom. Now that I got it on the lift where I can get to it, I could drill holes through this, clamp it together and weld them back up. But I thought, I'm not at the point where I'm really doing a whole lot of finish work yet. So what I decided to do, because we don't also know how far up the floor pan we have to remove on the inside, and I hate to hook this together and then cut it back apart. So I just took a couple of clamping pliers, these vice grip, these happen to be, and I just, there, that's where it belongs. Those aren't going to be in my way. We can leave them right there. Now we've got the floor pan in the position it needs to be. So rather than to make you guys listen to my die grinders and cutters and everything, and besides, I'm working right along. It's not all video, but I try to bring you guys in when I can. What I did with the green tape is I measured the new rocker, this 90-degree angle, and the new rocker has 2.5 inches of coverage. So I go up 2 inches, put this green tape line in here. So when I get to cutting, I don't go past my rocker, because then I got a bunch of work to do. You'd have to fill that gap. That's not what we're after. We don't want to do that. We want to take as little metal out of this truck as we can, because we don't have a lot of extra on this rocker. The metal in the back, quite strong. It's thick. It's not wore out. It's not rusty. It's not too bad. We get into this section, and you can probably see it ain't wonderful. I mean, there you go. You can see the rust underneath my tape. But we have that floor panel too, so we'll be able to work the two together. I just didn't want to cut. I'd rather cut twice. Cut twice than have to cut 3 more times to patch it. So I cut that all the way up to the inside the wheel well, and I cut it all the way to the back of the cab. Some of it I used a cut-off wheel. Some of it used the reciprocating saw. That's not my favorite tool. It's just noisy and shakes everything to devil. But if you need it in tight spots, it works well. Use whatever you got. It doesn't matter. So I've cut this off. We're going to see what we got. I'll get you inside and we're going to tear this out of here. I don't think it's going to be that hard. Once I started cutting on it, it got loose quick. Oh, I do want more talk, but I started to look for where in the world is my orange Loctite. I mean, you guys look for it every week because I hide it somewhere. Some weeks better than others. Well, I hit it good this week. It took me about 20 minutes to find. So I played the game. It ended up being all the way up on the roof. And I have this on the hoist, so I couldn't see it. But that's all good. Oh, by the way, if any of you are watching, you're not subscribed, please do. That's out of the way. Oh, yeah, hit the like, give me a thumbs up, all that. Everybody, thanks for coming. I appreciate the subscribers I have. And you guys have been around a while. Appreciate that. You newcomers, you'll be around a while, and I'll appreciate you too. So I cut this way, I cut that way. There's a reason. I cut along there, and I knew I had to replace the cab mount. And because the cab support is spot welded to the floor, there's no sense in separating the cab support and the floor when you're going to throw it all away anyway. It's just extra work. So I went ahead and cut up farther, not all the way, so that it would just save me all that splitting. And as it turned out, I guess the spot welds are pretty much broke on it in a few places anyway. That metal has got thin. But it's neat to see how thick it is over here. I mean, that's not very far to this paper thin. You can bend it with your fingers. It's you would have thought it'd be more gradual, but it goes quick. So there's plenty of metal there still. This is quite stout in the good areas. So, all right, here we go. Get this tape out of the way. Let's see if we can pull this inner away from all this stuff. I guess I can pull all that tape out of there now. I would use a marker, but you know, things are dirty. You'll ruin a marker. That tape's cheap enough. All right, so I pulled the 2 bolts out of here. Already had the 2 bolts out of there. That's what sandwiched these 3 items together. And then this should just, it about fell out, didn't it? Well, that comes out pretty good. Well, it looks like it's all going to come out in one piece. All the way to the back. My golly, it did. Well, you can see how much I had left. And you can see how rusted this got through the time. You know, this is your, it's hard to tell what you're looking at because there's so little of it here. This is your cab support. And then this is, I don't know if you can tell, but this little tab right here is your inner rocker. And that should be just rusted together, but well, I'm sure they spot welded it a couple times because that is your seatbelt nut. And we're going to need the new ones don't come with those, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to need to use that. I'll cut it out of there. It's a big square nut. It's quite large. And we'll weld that onto the new one when it comes time. So again, you can see where I cut it. I just want to show you guys, when you get to cutting this metal, make sure you're still a good, I mean, there's good thick metal there. You can see it shiny, how thick it is. Plenty of good metal where I've cut it. Obviously, when you get to a thin spot, you can tell the metal's kind of thick and thin, thick and thin. And just something to be aware of when you cut it. If you don't have a good solid cut, you know, on here it's pretty thin, you'd want to cut back farther, which we're going to do on that. So there's the inner rocker out. Boy, that's hard to say. That really wasn't that bad. I just used the old death wheel on her and away she went. So the inner and outer is out. And now we have to kind of figure out, let me get the new inner, just see how it goes in here. This part is just, you got to figure it out. Every truck's different. Every cut that you do is different. Well, it goes in this way first. Now, this inner rocker goes up farther than the factory one. And I'm sure they do that so that when you replace this stuff, you're not frustrated with them because they didn't give you enough metal where it rusted. The old floor quits at this seam right here under the toe board meets the floor. This new rocker goes up, rounds past that. And I'm sure they did it because this side is a rust area bad. And if this was all you needed, you'd want that extra metal. So it goes, I don't have it all the way to the back. I have a little more metal cut out. But it goes, that's close, up in here almost to the dimmer switch. So it definitely goes, I don't know, looks like 3 inches past, which is nice. It's got a funny wrinkle right in there I'm not thrilled with, but we're going to seam seal all that anyway. You have a body line here. This is where they, well, I don't remember what they call that, but the bead roll it, I think. And that gives a little more strength. That should line up with this one. So by the time I pull that back, it might be close. I have more to cut out in the back. We'll just set it up high. And it's still going to be past. I think that's supposed to be the same. I'm glad I didn't cut too much higher on that. I think I did cut it a little too high, but only because the metal was thin. Yeah, I went past, but it was thin. We can patch that. We'll see what we have on the next part. So it looks like I have to cut the back out more, where you can't see back in here, in order to get this to set right in. I kind of want to do that before you guys go. I don't know how loud that's going to be or how much you're going to be able to see, but the reason I want to get that done is to kind of fit this in and show you what I'm thinking. Yeah, it wants to fall wherever I put it. What I'm thinking is that rocker is going to overlap about an inch onto this metal. And we can do, you can't see, I'm sorry, onto this where it's good, not this rusty spot. Where it overlaps, we'll clean this down to bare metal. And we're going to use that, I can think of all these names, but basically panel bond and its structural strength. Panel bonds, what they use on all the new vehicles. And we'll panel bond it right to this, and we'll describe the details on that more when I get to that. But I want to fit it in here real good. We've got this front all cut out. I don't know if this is the time to replace the kick panel or not. I've never had a kick panel bad before. This part in here. No, he is going to have carpet in here, so we don't have to worry about doing a fabulous job. What I mean by fabulous is just appearance-wise. Oh, with that rocker out of there, I can get you guys right up in there. All right, spun you around to the back. You can see pretty good. I got every light on in the shop. I'll still turn on another light. That one tends to wash out the camera, though. All right. I left a little metal back here. This is part of the cab support and then the cab floor. And I'm thinking that's spot welded to the back of the cab, too. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to get that out of there. That might not be in this video after all. Yeah, I don't know. Tight area in there. I could use a torch. I'm not a big fan of the finish a torch leaves. But, let's see. Cutoff wheel won't fit. My sneaky tool. I like this. You know, you guys probably seen this. This is a cutoff wheel that's down the shaft. Turned it to 90. And this thing's handy. I mean, I wished it was thinner. Look how much I bashed the top of that up already. But you can, other than having a hose on it, you can get this right down in here, and you can sneak down in those, between those two pieces of metal, and hopefully not go through the back. Because that'd be something to add to my bunch of fixes. Now they got you guys in here, though. You can see the spot welds they did when they put on the outer cab corner when they replaced it and burnt the paint, and they never did anything with it. Well, you can see it's getting rusty. We'll definitely do something with those. We're going to have this whole pocket all cleaned up, filled, whatever. You want to hear me grind on? I got this wire all in my face, too. Why wouldn't I? Oh, I don't want to pull that out. You know, I do this a lot. Just neat. Something to think about when you're in a shop and something's in your way. Wife always says, work smarter, not harder. I take, well, you can't see it. Turn that dead blame light off. Take these wires that are all in my way and just, I don't know, put something in there, hold it out of your way. Just what I do. Well, am I going to cut this out now or am I going to do it later? I want to do it now. I'm a little scared though. I don't mind telling you, we've got this out. It'd be nice to fit that in before you guys go. I'm going to try it. Get ready to plug your ears. I don't know how loud it is. I've got sound control on this, but I really don't know how quick it kicks in. Let's. I got my glasses on. I always make sure it spins away from my face. Yep, it does. Just throws a lot less sparks in your face. Boy, you guys are going to be able to see great. Let's do this. All right, watch your ears. I don't have my compressor on. Yeah, I do. Compressor kicks on. Just bear with me. It went all the way to the back, and you can see I just touched the metal. As close as I can get. We'll try and wheel around this way. If you can even hear me. Oh, that's not comfy. Alright, forgive me, I gotta get in your way. I know you want to see, but I can't do it that way. Maybe I can. I don't know. Probably not. Let me see if I'm going through the back of the cab. I'm sure I'm not. Oh, she's loose, but not completely loose. Careful. Probably against the back of that, you'll have nipple dents on the back of your truck. You don't want that. I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't mind telling you. Boy, she is wanting to come out of there. I mean, look how loose it is. How about we just wiggle it for a minute? No, that ain't gonna work. We got to just trim a little more. Where are you holding? A little more. Always a little more. A little more. I ripped my gloves. Come on. Well, I'll be. I just about got it. Let's see what I got to do. I got to cut it underneath. And I'm not moving you guys around. You can't see under there. I can't see under there. Got to cut the back of the cab. Got to have a place to weld that. Let's go to. All right, here we go. I'm going to finish this up one way or another. That's warm. Huh. You don't want me to do that. We're going to get it. One way or another, we're getting this thing. Well, we only got a minute or two left on the camera anyway. Maybe I won't get it in time, but man, why you gotta fight me all the time? It's so close, folks. Well, I'm throwing it away anyway. Yeah, maybe that'll let me get in there. No, gotta do more. Always more. Come on. Now I can get in there. You know, 10 seconds after I turn this video off, I'm gonna have it out. I mean, it's just right there. Look how flimsy it is. You don't want that go that last little part. Let's see if we can put the inner in there. Give you guys a look at it before the camera turns off. I'm gonna go at this kind of quick. Otherwise, thanks for coming. We'll see you next week. Let's get this rocker in there. Man, I appreciate you guys so much. Let's get this rocker in there real quick. It's gonna go. If not, I'll bring it back next week and show you. But I think it's gonna slip over that. And I can pull it out when you guys later. Yep, I said it later. Yeah, she ain't gonna slide all the way down in. Oh well. But you can see where we're getting. Dang it. We're so close. Next week we'll have it in there. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. It's in. Just not all the way. All right, gotta go. See you guys.